We're less than 2 weeks away until the start of FPL, so it's time for an updated draft. In today's video, I'm going to show you my current Game Week 1 team as a manager with a top 10k rank history. There's a lot of changes since my last video. Haaland or no Haaland, Salah or no Salah. We've lots to discuss. Let's get into the video. So before we get into today's video, quick reminder as always to drop the video a like, and let's hit a like goal of 60 likes on this video. Head on down there, drop the video a like, and if you are watching me for the first time, first off, welcome to the channel. Hope you're going to stick around for the season ahead. Head on down there, click subscribe if you haven't already, and support the channel. We're on the road to 7k subs, trying to get there before the end of pre-season. It's going to be a big ask, but with your support, hopefully we can get there. Right then, let's get back to the task on hand, and if you did watch my last video, this is how my current team lined out at the end of that video. Of the last week or so, I was fairly happy with how the team was shaping up, but since watching a few of the pre-season games at the weekend, I'm now looking to make a few changes. Especially in defence, looking at the Chelsea defence, they've been very leaky in their pre-season games, conceding twice against Wrexham, 4 against Celtic and 4 against Man City, where Haaland did get his hat-trick at the weekend. And we all know Man City play Chelsea in Game Week 1, and with the way Chelsea are going in defence, that could be another thumping for Man City there. So Sanchez is probably on the way out of the team. We'll chat about my few goalkeeper options later on. Then moving on to defence there, Mykolenko. I'm probably looking to move out Mykolenko also. We'll have a look at the other 4.5 million defenders. And then for another example then, João Pedro. João Pedro is a decent shout at 5.5 million, but he has been injured. He has since returned to training, but he hasn't played any minutes in pre-season for Brighton. So on his form at the moment and on his lack of minutes, I'm probably looking at moving him out of the team also. So there's 3 examples. There are more to come of players who are removing from the team. But yeah, let's move on. Let's have a look at my current Game Week 1 draft and see how I'm shaping up ahead of this month's deadline. So starting off with my 2 goalkeepers, I'm looking towards Matt Turner of Nottingham Forest as my 4 million cheap enabler keeper. I'm looking to keep that structure of having one 4 million keeper on the bench and one 4.5 million goalkeeper who'll play every week. We all know what happens when you start rotating goalkeepers. You always bench the keeper with the most points, so I'm looking to avoid that, and Turner can warm my bench as it's looking likely he's going to warm that Nottingham Forest bench all season too. From watching the pre-season games, it doesn't look like there's any 4 million goalkeeper that's nailed to start the season, so I could probably move on Turner for a lesser owned goalkeeper in the game. At the moment now, Turner is owned by over 22% of managers, so it might be sensible to move Turner on to lesser owned 4 million goalkeeper and avoid the risk of losing some potential value if Turner does drop in price. But for now, Turner makes a 15-man squad. So moving on to my starting goalkeeper with Sanchez and Chelsea looking woeful in their pre-season games. Sanchez has now since left the team, and in comes Dean Henderson of Crystal Palace. Henderson looks to be the first choice goalkeeper for Crystal Palace, with Sam Johnson heading for the exit door, so that's why I've brought Henderson into the team. And to be fair to Crystal Palace, they've got a decent start to Premier League life up against Brentford, West Ham and Leicester in their first 4 games, so there's definitely a chance of some clean sheets to start the season. I could look towards other 4.5 million goalkeepers in the game, maybe even Flecken of Brentford, but Brentford have a pretty tough start up against Man City, Liverpool and Spurs in their first 5 games, so that's why I'm looking towards Henderson to start the season. So moving on to my back 5, you'll see there has been a few changes since my last video, but 2 players that haven't left my team at all are the 2 premium defenders in Trent Alexander-Arnold and Vardiol. We'll start off with Trent. Liverpool have a great run of fixtures up until Game Week 7, so I'm happy enough to play at that premium price tag for Trent with the hopes of some clean sheets and attacking returns. Trent has only returned to Liverpool training this week, but there's plenty of time between now and the Game Week 1 deadline for him to get up to match speed. On to Vardiol then as well. Vardiol has been in decent form for Man City in pre-season with 1 assist so far, so I've got Vardiol in the team for the clean sheet and attacking threat also. I mine up those fixtures against Ipswich, West Ham and Brentford in Game Weeks 2, 3 and 4, so fingers crossed he can get some clean sheets and some attacking returns. So barring any injuries, that's Trent and Vardiol pretty much locked into my Game Week 1 team, but the first differential, you'll see it's a different 4.5 million defender. That's Lewis Hall of Newcastle. He's been doing well in pre-season, 1 goal and 1 assist for the Newcastle left back, but to be honest, he's just in there as a placeholder to see if Trippier does leave. I think Livramento will be coming into the team, and if he doesn't, if Trippier still stays in the team, Guehi is heavily linked with Newcastle, so could be bringing Mark Guehi into the team, priced at 4.5 million. Whatever happens, I think I'm pretty much certain going to be going with a Newcastle defender, so let's see how those transfers play out before the Game Week 1 deadline. Barco and Fies complete my 5-man defence as 2 4 million defenders that should see some minutes to start the season. We'll start off with Barco, with Estepinian set to be sidelined until September. Barco should continue in his left wing back role for Brighton. He has impressed so far in pre-season and he has been on some corner duties, so priced at 4 million in the game, what else could you ask for? Feist then of Leicester completes my 5-man defence, but to be fair to Leicester, they haven't the best start for clean sheet potential to start the season. But if you look towards game week 7 to game week 10, they're up against Southampton, Bournemouth, Forest and Ipswich, so could be looking to bring in Feist into the team for these fixtures. That's the 5-man defence out of the way. Let's move on to the midfield. Moving on to my 5-man midfield, we'll start off with the players that haven't left my team since my last video, and that's Mo Salah, Nkunku and Eze. We'll start off with the Egyptian King. He needs absolutely no explanation on why he's in the team. Liverpool have a great run of fixtures up until game week 7, and Salah has been in decent form in pre-season, scoring once and assisting twice, and he's a big captaincy candidate for that game week 1 fixture against Ipswich. I'm still very surprised he's only owned by 35% of managers in the game, but hopefully that should mean more points for us Salah owners. On to Nkunku then. He's in very good form in pre-season, scoring 3 times and assisting once, so it's great to see him pick up some form in the lead up to the new season. It's also great to see his manager Maresca praise him for his versatility in positions. He said he's able to play up front, through the middle or on the wings, so hopefully that should see him get more minutes throughout the season, and hopefully he should be able to cover us without Evan Palmer. With Elise headed for Bayern Munich, it now means Eze is going to be the main man in that Crystal Palace attack, and with him on all set piece and penalty duties, he's an absolute cheat code, priced at 7 million in the game. Crystal Palace have a decent start to the season also, up against Brentford, West Ham and Leicester in their first 4 games, so I'm expecting Eze to do very well in these opening fixtures. That's why he hasn't left my team, and that's why you should have him in your game week 1 team. Priced at 5 million in the game, Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa has been their star of their pre-season so far, scoring 3 times and assisting once, so he looks likely to start the season for Aston Villa. Aston Villa have a nice run of fixtures from game week 1 up until game week 6, if you ignore that Arsenal fixture in game week 2, but if Rogers starts the season off to a flyer, he could easily be 5.3, 5.4, 5.5 million by the end of game week 6. It only took Smith Rowe 7 minutes into his Fulham debut at the weekend for him to get off the mark. Priced at 5.5 million in the game, he could be one of the best budget picks of the season if he continues his form into the new season. Looking at game week 1 though, however, they do face Man United in game week 1, but looking at Rodgers, besides Smith Rowe there, I can play Rodgers when Aston Villa face West Ham, bench Smith Rowe in game week 1, and then I'm eyeing up Smith Rowe for that Leicester fixture at home in game week 2, and also that fixture against Ipswich in game week 3. If the Smith Rowe or Rodgers punts don't pay off to start the season, there's still some decent punts in that 5 to 5.5 million price bracket. Callum Hudson-Odoi of Nottingham Forest and Amad Diallo of Man United. Diallo has been arguably one of United's best players in pre-season, and with a lot of injuries up front for Man United, it looks like Diallo should see a spot for the start of the season. For now, Smith Rowe and Rodgers make the team. Let's move on and have a look at our strikers. Moving on to my 3 strikers, Erling Haaland and Alexander Isak haven't left my team since the last video. We'll start off with Haaland. He's just off the back of that hat-trick against Chelsea at the weekend, and now means he scored 5 goals so far in the pre-season for Man City. Pretty good for a player who isn't 100% match fit. Amazingly, he's only owned by 41% of managers in the game. That means 59% of managers don't own the City striker. I do expect that figure to rise before the game week 1 deadline on the 16th of August. Moving on to Isak then as well, he's been in good form in pre-season so far. 3 goals so far for the Swedish striker. The good news about Isak is Callum Wilson is a big doubt for the game week 1 fixture, so that should see Isak lead the line for Newcastle. Newcastle also have a great run of fixtures from game week 1 up until game week 5, so I'm expecting some big returns from Isak to start the season. With João Pedro unable to play any minutes for Brighton in their pre-season game so far, I've now looked towards Chris Wood for my 3rd striker. Forest have a great run of fixtures to start the season up against Southampton, Bournemouth and Wolves, and with 2 goals already for Wood in pre-season, I'm expecting him to get amongst the returns to start the season. With Fulkrug just after moving to West Ham, I will be keeping a close eye on what his price is in the game. If he is priced at 6 million, I'll be going for Fulkrug over Wood, but I do expect Fulkrug to be priced at 6.5 million in the game, so I may need to get that 0.5 million elsewhere in the team. Just a quick reminder, while you're watching this video on the FPL Era Prize League, all you have to do to enter is make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and make sure you're following me on Instagram and Twitter. The league code is on screen there, so get entering, and if you do win at the end of the season, you'll grab yourself a Premier League jersey of your choice from the 25-26 season, and runners up will get themselves a jersey from my collection. Best of luck for the season, and Era Boo. So here's how my current 15-man squad is shaping up ahead of the game week 1 deadline on the 16th of August. Like I said in the last video though, we can't have every good player in the game, so sacrifices have had to be made. So for example, there's no Cole Palmer, there's no Heung-min Son, there's no Bukayo Saka, there's no Arsenal defence, but do let me know in the comments what you make of this 15-man squad and what changes you would consider making. If you've made it to the end of this video, please give it a like, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's hit a like goal of 60 likes on this video, so head on down there, drop the video a like, and if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, please head on down there, click subscribe. We're on the road to 7k, trying to get there before the end of pre-season. We've a bit to do, but with your support you can help me get over the line. There's plenty of pre-season content coming your way, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.